It's Tuesday, February 21st, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. We're going to start off the show with our chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. Then we'll learn more about the Sturgis Library's 150th anniversary with Library Director Lucy Loomis. And we'll chat with DPW Director Dan Santos on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. Town Council approves an appropriation and transfer order for the Barnstable Municipal Airport for $95,000 during last week's meeting. The money will be used to pay for the costs associated with the scope of work required in order to respond to the Notice of Responsibility that was issued by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. A state grant will pay for public outreach efforts as the town's Growth Management Department completes its housing production plan. The state's Executive Office of Administration and Finance awarded the department $5,000 for the program. Town Council voted unanimously to accept that grant during last week's meeting. The Growth Management Department wants resident input on how to spend this year's Community Development Block Grant funding. The funds must benefit low and moderate income persons and can be used to create or preserve affordable housing, increase economic opportunities, and improve public facilities. This year's estimated allocation is a little over $270,000. Residents can offer their thoughts during the meeting Wednesday, March 1st at 3 in the Growth Management Conference Room. All are welcome to attend. The Massachusetts Department of Transportation continues their roadway improvements for the Route 28 intersection at Burses Way. While there are no detours currently scheduled, traffic during construction operations may be delayed, and motorists are advised to use caution through the construction work area. The work hours will be between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. And as always, please slow down and use extreme caution when traveling through road construction areas and detour routes. Up next, we're going to chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. And it's been a busy week for the Barnstable Police Department. Joining me now over the phone is Police Chief Paul McDonald. Chief, a bit of excitement recently. There was a car chase. What can you tell me about this situation?
There was a car chase that started yesterday in Cotuit. It went through several towns and it ended up in Middleborough, Mass. What happened, one of our officers on routine patrol was out in Cotuit, Route 28, it's called Route 28 and Sandalwood Road. A vehicle pulled out in front of him and just saw it had an expired inspection sticker on it, a relatively minor offense, traffic offense. The officer pulled in behind it, activated its overhead emergency lights and sirens. The vehicle continued to move forward at normal speed, at the speed of traffic, 40 miles per hour, and then took a right onto Route 130 heading into Mashpee. The officer again then signaled it to stop. It then began to accelerate. The officer then called it in that the vehicle was refusing to stop. We immediately broke off the pursuit. So our part of the actual pursuit was only probably less than a mile. We then made proper notification. We notified Mashpee PD. We notified Sandwich PD. We told them that we attempted to stop the vehicle, gave a description of the vehicle and the plate number, and told them it was only wanted for minor traffic offenses. You know, we have a strict pursuit policy within the town of Barnstable. You know, we will not chase a motor vehicle. You know, going back to Michael K. Alzerton, Michael got killed in a cruiser accident back in March of 1983, and since then we have probably one of the strictest pursuit policies in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. As soon as the car refused to stop, the sergeant or the lieutenant gets involved in it, and they ask him, what is the motor vehicle wanted for? Traffic offense, and we immediately break off all the pursuits. However, the vehicle then continued into Mashpee, then into Sandwich. Sandwich Police Department engaged in it, and apparently he hit at least 2 of the Sandwich cruisers. They then broke off the pursuit and went up to the state. The state police get involved in it with Middleborough, and eventually they got the vehicle stopped on Route 44. Subject was eventually identified as Gary Guy. And right now, to the best of my knowledge, he's only being charged with multiple traffic offenses.
My goodness, it seems silly.
It certainly does.
I was waiting for you to tell me that he had a warrant out for his arrest and he was really trying to avoid the police, but not the case, just traffic offenses.
It's very unusual. That's what we thought too. I know the state police, they call for drug dog, and they got a search warrant. They searched the car. They figured he was definitely trying to hide something. But I knew he was operating with a suspended driver's license. But still, he went to such extreme, to try to evade the police and basically endangering the police officers and the public safety. And at one time he was up 495 going in the wrong direction. So of course the state police, they had to engage the pursuit to warn the motoring public with the overhead lights and sirens. But it was crazy.
Yeah, it seems, I just can't even imagine Trump, he's trumping up his charges right there, because if he just would have pulled over and dealt with the traffic violations, it would have been a little simpler.
Right. And the different police departments, they went back and they backtracked the route that he took, see if he threw something out of the car. There has to be more to it than just simple motor vehicle offenses. Although he's now facing a whole slew of motor vehicle offenses, being held without bail, he probably threw something out of the car. There has to be more to it, and I'm sure the investigation is ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk to you, too. There was an arrest this morning. There were some car break-ins near C Street in Hyannis.
Right.
You actually made an arrest this morning in that case. What can you tell me about this?
At about 6:15 this morning, we are called to 54 C Street Extension, which runs between Main Street and North Street, apartment complex down there. An individual was out walking his dog and saw 2 individuals acting suspiciously. Called us. We sent 2 officers down there. The midnight shift, they always put 2 guys out there in plain clothes. They parked their cruisers, probably a block away, and they went in on foot. And they actually saw the 2 individuals. They were rummaging through cars, taking several personal items out of the cars. They approached both individuals. They ended up arresting both of them. They both are juveniles. One's 14, one's 15 years old. One lives in Hyannis, the other lives in West Yarmouth, and they're both being charged with 4 counts of being a motor vehicle. So it was a good pinch, real good pinch.
Yeah, and definitely something we want to make sure is not happening on a frequent basis. What can you tell me, or what advice would you give to residents? Should they definitely make sure they're locking their doors at night, their car doors?
Every car that these individuals went through, every car was unlocked. I mean, we actually saw them going around. They're checking the door handles to see if the car was unlocked. The single biggest thing you can do is simply lock the doors. If you lock the doors, they're going to break the window. If they break the window, that's going to make some noise. That's going to attract attention to themselves, and that's probably going to deter the crime to even being committed. So if everybody just simply, lock their cars and make sure if they have any valuables inside the car, in the interior of the car, put them in the trunk, put them in the glove box, put them in the console. Don't leave a computer, your pocketbook, your wallet, a phone, a camera, or anything just sitting on the seats where people can see it. That's a temptation. So lock your car and conceal everything in a secure compartment in the car.
Good advice. Thank you for that. Before I let you go, I want to talk about a big road race coming up. This may affect traffic. When is this taking place?
The road race is scheduled for this Sunday at 26. It's both a half marathon and a full marathon. We expect between 2,000 to 3,000 runners participating in it, because this is the last qualifying event for the Boston Marathon. So we have some high-class professional runners at this. It does cause a lot of traffic concerns for us. We will have the traffic boards out there. There will be detours. There will be road closures. We are planning on doing a reverse 911 to the entire town to let people know. It starts at the Resort and Conference Center right there on Scudder Avenue. It goes down towards South Street, right on C Street, and spends the first couple of miles in South Hyannis, then goes through Hyannisport, out in the center of up Craigville, then back through Hyannisport, and back to where it started at the Hyannis Conference Center. So it's going to be traffic gridlock, and we're just going to ask everybody just try to stay away from that area as much as humanly possible.
Stay away from that area, and if you do go near the area, bring your patients.
Absolutely, bring your patients.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chief. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
So glad to talk to you today.
Good talk to you. I'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Our guest today, of course, Chief of Police Paul McDonald. Up next, we're going to learn about the Sturgis Library's 150th anniversary with Library Director Lucy Loomis. So Lucy, thank you for chatting with me today. Very excited to talk about the 150th anniversary of the library. And when we say 150th anniversary, we should clarify.
Yes.
It is of the actual library. The building that the library is in is actually older than that.
Yes, the building was built in 1644 as a meeting house for Reverend John Lothrop, who's one of the founders of the town of Barnstable. But then it was a private home for many years, and then in the late 1700s, William Sturgis, who is a descendant of John Lothrop's, was born here. And then he went to sea, became a merchant. And then before he died, he bought the building back and turned it into a library. He left a small endowment and his collection of books. And so here we are from 1867 to 2017, so it's 150 years.
And how cool is that some of the things that were left behind really are a great resource here locally. You are not just a library in the traditional sense.
Right.
You're also a location that houses some really historic documents. And that's one of the things I know you've been working really hard to preserve those and make sure it's the right environment. That costs a lot of money to upgrade the basement to store these things so they aren't lost.
Yeah, we just finished a big project, so our historic archives we have a space that's 3 times as big, and the climate control actually works. And so people come here from all over the country to do research on Cape Cod history, genealogy, and maritime. We've just actually in the last year gotten a number of donations from local families of their family papers and some of Lou Cataldo's material from his years here. So we have a lot of new materials that people have never seen before, so it's really great.
Really awesome to celebrate 150 years. You're going to kick it off with a really fun event
We are.
This month. It's very exciting. Tell me a little bit about the party on the 25th.
So the party, 25th of February, is William Sturgis's birthday, and so we're going to kick off our 150th with an open house. We'll have refreshments. We're going to have pieces of our collection on display. And also some of the students at the Sturgis Charter School are creating a timeline, an artistic timeline of William Sturgis's life. And so that's going to be on display, and the students will be here so they can interact with the people that may never have met them or seen their work. We're also going to kick off our Sturgis Library family tree, which is this huge artistic creation that Megan Nickerson, our youth services librarian, is doing. And it's going to be an opportunity for everybody that comes into the library to put a leaf and something about themselves on the family tree. So hopefully at the end of the year, we'll have a beautiful tree that's really a snapshot of the community.
Yeah, and that's really what libraries are about, that community sense. And one of the things that I think is so great about the party and the celebration that you're beginning with is it's free to attend and open to everybody.
Right.
So a great opportunity for anyone in the community to come enjoy the library and celebrate 150 years.
Absolutely.
And this isn't going to be the only event that's happening to celebrate the 150 years here at the library. What else can we expect this year?
So we've got a whole list, which I won't go through the whole thing, but what we wanted to do was really, again, engage the community, not just have them sit and listen to a lecture. So we have a photo walk with Steve Heslip of the Cape Cod Times, and people are going to be able to walk through the village with him, get some tips on shooting photos, and take images, and then we'll have an exhibit of the photos that they take that they want.
How awesome is that? What an opportunity. He is a great photographer.
I know.
I actually got a chance to interview him when he published a children's book with his photos.
Right. Yeah.
And they are amazing photos. So to get some tips from him, what a cool opportunity.
I want to go on
Is there
that
a fee for that event?
No. Most everything is free. Of course, we always accept donations, but we wanted to make everything open to the public. We're going to have a sort of an interactive lecture with Jack Sheedy, who's an author and does the column in the Barnstable Patriot on the early days, and is also a librarian. So people are going to be invited to bring things from their family, a snapshot, army uniform, a lace doily that your grandmother crocheted, and kind of talk about how those things are connected to you, and then we're going to be able to take photos of the things people brought in, or a photocopy if it's a letter, and again create an exhibit so that people, and talk with Jack, who's very knowledgeable about history. We're going to do a cemetery tour of Lothrop Hill Cemetery with Nancy Shoemaker. Our own Greg Williams, who's a trustee here and has done talks at the church in West Barnstable, is going to channel his inner William Sturgis at Tales of Cape Cod. So we'll see what he's doing a lot of research right now. We're going to have an archaeological dig in the back of the library in a piece of property that has an old foundation on it, and a talk about the library. We're going to have a paint night where you can come and drink wine and paint a picture. We're going to be collaborating with the Art Association, the Coast Guard Heritage Museum, the churches, Tales of Cape Cod, as I said, Barnstable Historical Society. We'll have children's events, family events, and we're going to have a big gala in August where everybody's going to be invited. There will be a charge for that, but we'll have a special auction that I'd love to tell you about.
Yeah, let's talk about this. This is a really cool project, and we actually have something here you can show me. This wood is pretty old. Where did this come from?
This is a very dirty, old piece of wood. We had shelves that were in the back of the library here. There was a little addition in the 1920s, and they built these shelves. And then when we had further additions, they moved these shelving units downstairs. And they're really not appropriate for modern day books. We use them for storage, but we have hundreds of them. And what we're going to do is invite people to take a shelf and then create something with it, either paint on it or cut it up and build something with it, anything that they want to do, sculpt it, and then donate it back, and we'll auction those creations off to raise money for our newly established preservation fund, which is going to, that money will be used to preserve the building and collections.
Yeah, and it's so important, I think, too, because once you lose those documents, once they deteriorate, you can't get them back.
Right.
And our community is so rich in history, such an important project to make sure all of that is preserved here in the library. So this is open to anybody?
Anybody can come and take a shelf and do something great with it, and then donate it back, and either they can attend that party. There will be, as I say, there will be a charge for that party, but it's going to be great. There'll be music and fun, and this auction, which will be terrific, and that'll be sort of the end of our celebration.
Yeah, very exciting. A very exciting year for you guys here at the Sturgis Library. If any artists are interested in taking a piece, they can just come chat with you here at the library.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And then we'll all make sure to put the event on February 25th on our calendar.
Oh, great.
That's a Saturday, I believe.
It is.
What time was that happening?
It's from 4 to 6.
Wonderful. And of course, free to attend and open for everyone.
All ages.
Thank you so much, Lucy, for chatting with me today. I really appreciate it. Lucy Loomis, of course, our guest today, the library director here at the Sturgis Library. Joining me now live on the phone is DPW Director Dan Santos. Dan, a lot of things are packed into the springtime when the weather's nice, but before the busy season, trying to pack a lot of work in to that small window. What do we have on the agenda for this spring?
Well, we have our normal springtime work, which keeps us quite busy, but we have a number of projects that have been in the planning and design stage for a couple of years, and they're going to be coming to fruition this spring, and that includes a redesign of the parking area over at Joshua's Pond in Osterville, where we're going to be improving the flow of traffic into that small area, having a better layout for parking, and also improving the drainage there, which currently basically drains into the pond, which these days we don't like to do that. So we're going to be capturing that drainage and dealing with that. So that's a welcome project, particularly because it's a very popular beach and it's really difficult to park there in the summer, and we'll be able to provide some relief there with this project. So the people in Osterville are looking forward to that.
Yeah, always welcome when we have additional parking spaces.
Yes, and we are finishing up the design on the Barnstable Dog Park, which is going to be going on Finney's Lane over by Hathaway's Pond entrance, and we have been provided design and construction funding from the Stanton Foundation. I think they're in Cambridge, and they support dog parks across the country, and they're paying most of the cost of us installing a dog park there. And there's a Barnstable Dog Park group that's been meeting for a couple of years and raising funds on their own for long-term operation and maintenance of this. And so I know those folks are very excited about having that get underway and having a place so they can exercise their dogs and themselves.
Yeah, especially during the summer when we can no longer take our dogs to the beach. Any idea, Dan, how long it'll take to complete the dog park?
Well, it's probably a month or two project. It's really not very complicated. It's mostly, groundwork, taking trees out and making the areas and fencing and connecting water. So it should be a fairly brief project. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but that's something that's scheduled for this spring into summer.
I know lots of people are excited about that one.
Right. And then we're also going to be going out to bid shortly for some new shanties, which will be in the area just east of Town Hall, just below the Verizon building. There's a grass area with the walkway to the sea that curves through there. And we're going to be putting up to 5 new shanties for artists in the town's art program. And I know Melissa Hirsch and the folks in the growth management department are excited to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, that's also very exciting. Loved seeing the Harbor District sort of come up and draw people into, near Town Hall and up through the town green. So it really does a great connector for Main Street and the Harbor District.
Right, with the Love Live Local, it ties all into that, and the whole art and the vendors there for a number of times throughout the year. So it's all coming together.
Now, do we think, Dan, is the Growth Management Department expecting to put those shanties in use this summer, or is that going to take a little longer than?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Oh, wonderful. That's exciting news.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you for joining us today, filling us in on everything we need to know that's happening in the springtime. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And can't wait to see that dog park.
Yes.
Very exciting stuff.
Good.
Anything else you want to let us know about, Dan, before I let you go?
We're hoping it doesn't snow anymore.
I know, crossing our fingers. Well, it's so funny because it feels like spring out there. Yesterday was probably one of the most beautiful days we've had.
Yeah.
This winter was very beautiful, 60-degree weather. Everyone was out enjoying themselves. It felt a little like spring, so I don't know.
Absolutely. But as soon as it gets back into the teens, you'll realize that
yeah, it's not over yet.
It's not spring yet.
Yeah. Well, we're counting down the days. It's almost here. I'll cross my fingers for you and hope we don't have any more snow.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Chat with you again next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
Right, bye-bye. Our guest this morning, of course, DPW Director Dan Santos. Always a wealth of information. Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Well, you can stretch, improve your balance, and build strength with a free chair yoga class at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Yoga Neighborhood hosts the free chair yoga class in the Shepley Room every Wednesday morning from 10 to 11. All ages and abilities are welcome. Well, do you need help completing your family tree? Well, you can learn more about the resources available to you at the Sturgis Library with adult reference librarian Marcella Curry at the Barnstable Senior Center. Marcella will present an illustrated talk highlighting the genealogical archives Wednesday, February 22nd at the Senior Center. The event is free to attend. You can call the Senior Center to sign up. Now let's take a look at this week's board, committee, and commission meeting schedule. Well, thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show for you. Tomorrow we'll chat with Finance Director Mark Milne. We'll talk with Consumer Affairs Supervisor Elizabeth Hartsgrove. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.